some reason lately my phone. I never did get the subject from you, so I couldn't put it up.
Okay, let me give it to you now. Allah is sufficient for you.
She's still trying to. I have to go over and come back. You good? Oh,
Yep.
are you perfect? Okay. Allah sufficient?
Yep. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
That one just record.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار أما بعد. Brothers and sisters in Islam, coming to the realization that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enough for you in every area of your life is a concept that may take many of us a lifetime to figure out. We invest a lot of time, thought, and emotion in the belief that friends, material possessions, and money are all we need to have a happy and prosperous and fulfilling life until they are no longer at our beck and we have none to rely on except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And only then does it resonate that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only consistent in our lives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a metaphor in the Quran about those who disbelieve. He says subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا كَسَرَابٍ بِقِيعَةٍ وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَعْمَالُهُمْ كسراب بقيعة يحسبه الظمآن ماء حتى إذا جاءه لم يجده شيئا ووجد الله عنده فوفاه حسابه والله سريع الحساب. Allah says in the Quran, and those who disbelieve, their deeds are like a mirage. كسراب بقيعة. It's like a mirage, like a person out in the desert, and he looks out from a distance, and what he thinks he sees is water. But when he gets closer to it, he realizes that there's nothing there. And he only finds Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there, who will reward him generously for his actions, and Allah is quick in reckoning. This is the way that the material possessions, friends, and everything that we need, that we believe we need to fill whole in this life, this is the role that it plays in our lives. It's just a fleeting, temporary enjoyment. Your children will come in and out of your lives. Many of us will outlive our own children. Your spouse, no matter how great of a husband or a wife they may be, they're only temporary. The money that you have, only temporary. The home that you live in, the car that you drive, the job that you have, in many respects, it is only a temporary, fleeting enjoyment. So anything that is, tangible, but it is not longevous, then that means that it is only a mirage. It's not going to last. He said until they get close enough to it and they realize that it's not actually water, it's nothing there. And they only find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there. Meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only consistent thing that is in our lives, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah asks a question in the Quran, rhetorical question, in order to make a point rather than to elicit a response. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, أَلَيْسَ اللَّهُ بِكَافٍ عَبْدًا وَيُخَوِّفُونَهُ بِالَّذِينَ مِن دُونِهِ وَمَن يُضْلِلِ اللَّهُ فَمَا لَهُ مِنْ هَادٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, asking a rhetorical question, أَلَيْسَ اللَّهُ بِكَافٍ عَبْدًا. Is not Allah enough for His servants? Is not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enough for you? Or you need more? Is not Allah enough for you? But Shaitan tries to instill fear in you with others besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and whomsoever Allah misguides, then you will not find a guide for him. Shaitan tries to instill fear in us with things and people other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making us believe that in their absence we have nothing. Women believe that in the absence of their husbands I have nothing. What am I going to do when he leaves me? Men believe that the woman's presence in his life, it is the end-all be-all of his life, so much so that if she leaves, I'm going to commit suicide, or I'm going to kill her and everybody else and then turn the gun on myself and kill myself. Because without this person, I have nothing. That fear is from Shaitan. Allah says clearly, وَيُخَوِّفُونَهُ بِالَّذِينَ مِن دُونِهِ, that Shaitan tries to instill fear in you with everything and everyone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we place so much emphasis on these things. Without money, who am I? There was a time in my own personal life that I thought that without money, I was nothing. What am I going to do without money? Who am I without money? That's because we validate ourselves through these things, through people that are in our lives, rather than our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We say Allahu Akbar, right? Multiple times throughout our day, whether in the salah or outside of the salah. And that is a reminder to ourselves that the only authority in our lives is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Allah is greater than everything and anyone in our lives. But we don't live our lives according to that belief. So it just becomes a statement that comes out of our mouths. We say Allahu Akbar, going from each position in our salah, and it's nothing more than just a few words, a few Arabic letters that are put together that comes out of our mouths that has absolutely no reality in our lives. Because although we say Allah is greater than everything and anyone in our lives, we still put others before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's just words that come out of our mouths with no reality to it. Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really Akbar? Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really Akbar? When you go and you do something haram and you disobey Allah to achieve a temporary enjoyment, instant gratification. Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really Akbar? Because if Allah was Akbar, if Allah was greater than the haram that you are about to do, then you would put Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. But shaitan instills fear in us with others besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the moment that we realize that Allah is enough for us, Allah will make the world bow to your feet. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, من خرج من بيته وقال بسم الله توكلت على الله ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله يقال له كفيت ووقيت وهديت فتنحى له الشيطان فيقول الشيطان الآخر فكيف بك فكيف لك برجل قد هدي وكفي ووقي. The Prophet ﷺ said that whoever leaves out of his home, when you leave out of your home and you say Bismillah, in the name of Allah, Tawakkaltu ala Allah, I put my trust in Allah, wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah, and there's no power, no might, no strength other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whoever utters these words upon leaving his home, then it will be said to him, the angels say, Kad hudita, you have been guided, wa kufita, you have been sufficed, wa wuqita, and you are protected. فَتَنَحَّى لَهُ الشَّيْطَانِ, and all of the shayateen that are waiting outside of your door, all of the shayateen, the devils, whether from amongst men or from amongst jinn, that are waiting to devour you the moment you step outside of your door, the shaitan backs away from you. تَتَنَحَّى لَهُ الشَّيْطَانِ, shaitan backs away, and he says to the other shayateen, فَكَيْفَ لَكَ بِرَجُلٍ قَدْ هُدِيَ وَكُفِيَ وَوُقِيَ. What can you do to a man who has been guided, who has been protected, and who has been sufficed by his Lord? But we asleep, we heedless, we walk out of our doors, no dua, and then we wonder why we get bombarded with the shayateen from the moment we step outside of our doors. Understand that our religion is more than just coming to Jumu'ah on Friday. This is a way of life. From the moment you open your eyes to the moment you close them at night, Islam is your life. It's not a religion. And the reason why we can separate, the reason why we can pray 5 times a day and still go back out and engage in haram, the reason why we can stand here right now for Jumu'ah, and as soon as Jumu'ah over, we'll leave and go back to do something haram, major sins in Islam. The reason why we can do that is because we have separated Islam from our way of life to just a religion. Just a religion. I just pray 5 times a day because that's what I'm supposed to do as a Muslim. Not realizing that praying 5 times a day should have an impact on your moral compass, should have an impact on your spirituality, should have an impact on your relationship with God, and therefore your relationship with other human beings, as our relationship with one another is just an extension of our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when you make that distinction that that's just my religion, but I have my personal life over here, then yes, you can do as you please. This explains for many Muslims who still can't fathom how could a Muslim engage in this type of behavior, but he prays 5 times a day, but she prays 5 times a day. This helps you to make sense of that. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said on the authority of Abdullah bin Abbas, Abdullah bin Abbas, he said, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. Allah is sufficient for me. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. Allah is sufficient for me, and He is the best disposer of my affairs. This comment was uttered by 2 of the greatest prophets out of all of the prophets and messengers, by Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, قَدْ قَالَهَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامُ حِينَ أُلْقِيَ فِي النَّارِ. He said the first time that this comment was uttered was by Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam right before he was thrown into a fire. He said, حَسْبُنَ اللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. Allah is sufficient for me, and He is the best disposer of my affairs. He said, and the Prophet ﷺ uttered this comment, حِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ النَّاسِ قَدْ جَمَعُوا لَكُمْ فَاخْشَوْهُمْ فَزَادُهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَقَالُوا حَسْبُنَ اللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. And the Prophet ﷺ uttered this comment when they told the Prophet ﷺ that the Jews, the mushrikeen of Quraysh and the hypocrites, the confederates, the Ahzab, during the 5th year after Hijrah, when they gathered together, united their resources to attack the Prophet ﷺ. They said, they're coming to attack you. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sufficient for me, and he is the best disposer of my affairs. This comment, this phrase, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil, it combines husnul dhann billah, good thoughts about Allah, and trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even when the Khalifa, the son-in-law of the Prophet ﷺ, Uthman ibn Affan, the one who even the angels were shy in front of him, was surrounded, was besieged in his own home in the last few moments of his life, surrounded his home, Muslims, people who claimed Islam, right? People who claimed Islam, surrounded the home of Uthman, trapped in his home in the last moments of his life. He knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was sufficient for him, and that the only thing that they would be able to do to him is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed them to do. Meaning the power is not yours. If you do something to me, harm me, you don't have that power. Allah gave you the authority to do it. You are not the power. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There's no power, no might, no strength except with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you understand that, you don't give other people that type of power. He did this to me, she did that to me. No, you only did to me what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed you to do to me, out of wisdom that is sometimes beyond what I can understand. And I accept Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's decree. Because I'm going to learn from that experience. But Uthman alayhi salam, his blood splattered on a verse in the Quran as he was being executed. And a page from his own copy of the Quran, his blood splattered on that page. And where his blood splattered shows us that Uthman knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was sufficient for him. It was mentioned by Imam Ahmad in his Musnad that Amra bint Arta'a, she said that I was with Aisha the year that Uthman was killed. She said, and we went to Mecca. And there in Mecca we saw a Quran that was the very own personal Quran of Uthman ibn Affan. She said, in opening the Quran, we noticed blood stains on a particular page in the Quran. She said that his first drop of blood, the first drop of blood that came out of Uthman spilled on this verse in the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah number 2, ayat 137, فَإِنْ آمَنُوا بِمِثْلِ مَا آمَنْتُمْ بِهِ فَقَدْ اهْتَدَوْا وَإِنْ تَوَلَّوْا فَإِنَّمَا هُمْ فِي الشِّقَاقِ فَسَيَكْفِيكَهُمُ اللَّهُ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if they believe like you believe, then indeed they will be rightly guided. But if they turn away, then indeed they're only in opposition, and Allah will suffice you. This is where Uthman's blood spilled on the Quran. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enough for you. No man, as Amra, she said, فَمَا مَاتَ رَجُلٌ مِّنْهُمْ سَوِيًّا. She said, no man that was involved in the death of Uthman died in a good state. Every single one of them that was involved in the murder of Uthman, none of them died in a good state. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sufficient for you. Many of us found Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, albeit in some, particular circumstance. Many of us found Islam when we were in prison. Some of us found Islam, found God, found Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the demise of a loved one, the death of a loved one. And others, they found Islam, found Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when they hit rock bottom in life, staring at a crossroad between giving up on themselves and wanting more out of life but not knowing how to gain it. But regardless of how you found Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you found Him, you found everything that you needed. When you found Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you found everything that you needed. But some of us need more than that. God is not enough. Islam is not enough. Here it is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not only guided you to Islam, guided you from darkness to light, but now it's something else we feel like we're missing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sufficient for you. You found Him, you found everything you need. Allah says in the Quran, أَوَمَنْ كَانَ مَيْتًا فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ كَمَنْ مَثَلُهُ فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ لَيْسَ بِخَارِجٍ مِنْهَا. Allah said, can he who is dead, to whom we gave life and a light by which he can walk amongst men, be like he who is steeped in darkness from which he could never emerge? This is many of us who converted to Islam, or those of us who were born and raised in Islam, and we arrived at a station of consciousness that we were dead spiritually, morally, and Allah gave us life and a light, the Quran, the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, whereby we can walk amongst men with our head up, with dignity, with honor, with guidance. Can this person be like someone who is steeped in the depths of darkness from which he can never come out? And some of us take our guidance from people who are steeped in darkness. Some people look up to, take as role models, people who are still steeped in darkness. Meanwhile, looking at Islam and Muslims as if it's nothing. It's a joke. There is no guidance other than the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Hadith al-Qudsi, ابن آدم خلقتك لنفسي وخلقت كل شيء لك فبحقي عليك ألا تشتغل بما خلقته لك عن من خلقتك له. يا ابن آدم خلقتك لنفسي فلا تلعب وتكلفت برزقك فلا تتعب. يا ابن آدم اطلبني تجدني فإن وجدتني وجدت كل شيء وإن فتك فاتك كل شيء أنا لك بمحب فبحقي عليك كن علي محب. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this Hadith al-Qudsi, very profound words. He said, O child of Adam, I created you for me, and I created everything else for you. So based upon my right over you, do not preoccupy yourself with the things that I have created for you instead of the one whom I created you for. O child of Adam, I created you for me, فَلَا تَلْعَبْ. So don't play with your life. وَتَكَلَّفْتُ بِرِزْقِكَ فَلَا تَتْعَبْ. And I have shouldered the responsibility of providing for you. So don't busy yourself or tire yourself out in search of this dunya. O child of Adam, seek me and you shall find me. اطلبني تجدني. O child of Adam, seek me and you shall find me. وَإِنْ وَجَدْتَنِي وَجَدْتَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. And when you find me, you found everything. وَإِنْ فُتُّكَ فَاتَكَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. And when you lose me, you lose everything. Some people think, I'm going to leave Islam and I'm going to go out into the world, I'm going to get a good job, because the hijab is holding me back, my beard is holding me back, so I'm going to shave my beard, I'm going to go out there and get me a good job, and I'm going to do real good financially, right, according to the standards of society, and then I'll find my way back to Islam, and then you never find your way back. Some women believe that hijab is holding them back. I'm going to take off my hijab and I'm going to go after this job. I'm going to go into corporate. I'm going to rise the corporate ladder. Right? Because you believe that Islam is what is holding you back. I was doing better in my life before I became a Muslim. How many times you've heard a Muslim say that? How many times have we thought that but never had the courage to actually say it? That my life was a lot better before I became Muslim. You know why your life was better before you became Muslim? Because you didn't have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your life. So your life wasn't actually better before you became Muslim. You were misguided. You were astray. So the standards by which you were judging your life is based upon standards that have nothing to do with God. God is not included in that standard. And Islam came into your life, Allah guided you to Islam, and your life seems to be taking this turn and that turn for the worse. Your life is not getting worse. Your life is actually getting better. What doesn't challenge you is not going to change you. The reason why you are having so many challenges in your life since you've become a Muslim is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to squeeze you to bring the best out of you. Whereby as a non-Muslim or a non-practicing Muslim, you are allowed to just be you. No pressure. No challenge. This is why year after year after year goes by, you're still the same person. But the moment you convert to Islam, you lose this job, you lose that friend, you lose this. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rearranging your life for your benefit. For your benefit. Allah says in the Quran, عَسَىٰ أَن تُحِبُّوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ شَرٌّ لَكُمْ وَعَسَىٰ عَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. That perhaps you may hate a thing and it is good for you. And perhaps you may love a thing and it is bad for you. Allah knows and you don't know. Understand? You don't know what's good for you. This is the whole point of putting your faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you're constantly looking at your non-Muslim standards, right? People who have no God conscious, no moral compass, and you're comparing your life to their life, and you say, wow, look at this person I used to know. They're this, they graduated with this degree, and they seem like they're doing great. And here I go as a Muslim with a beard and wearing a thobe. I got to come to the mosque 5 times a day, and my life doesn't seem like it's getting any better. You are a sad, sick individual. I really feel sorry for you. Because Shaitan has actually played the greatest trick on you. Shaitan's job is to make evil seem fair seeming. What part of that don't you understand? When you look at the world through the lens of your spirituality, you can see it clearly for what it is. And perhaps the things that you are chasing is not for you. You leave that for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to decide. This is the whole purpose of making istikhara. We put our trust in Allah. We ask Allah to help us make this decision or that decision. And when it doesn't fall through, when it doesn't come through, then we submit to that, realizing that Allah has something better for me. But when we constantly think that we got it all figured out, then what do you need Islam for? What do you need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for? You're your own God. You got it figured out. Why do you need Islam if you got it all figured out? Brothers and sisters, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and realize that when you find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you found everything that you need. And when you lose Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you've lost everything, even if you believe that you still have everything. بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعني وإياكم بما جاء فيه من الآيات والذكر الحكيم أقول ما تسمعون أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المؤمنين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. And don't be like those who forgot about Allah, and Allah caused them to forget about themselves. That indeed these are the sinful. Brothers, if you can move up, inshallah, as much as you can. Go in for our brothers, inshallah. Allah says, don't be like those who forgot about Allah, and He caused them to forget about themselves. That indeed, these are the fasiqun, the sinful, the rebellious. One of the ways that we lose Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to forget about His remembrance. Throughout our day should be saturated with the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you love something, you remember it often. When you are in love with someone, you're thinking about the person constantly. Thinking about the person constantly. Thinking about past conversations that you had with the person, because that is what is stimulating you. And likewise, when you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you remember Him much. From the moment we open our eyes in the morning to the moment we go to sleep, our entire day is saturated with the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not to mention that remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one of the best ways to keep demonic energy away from you. Demonic energy is, attracted. You attract demonic energy by your ghafla, by your heedlessness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says in the Quran, وَمَنْ يَعْشُ عَنْ ذِكْرِ الرَّحْمَنِ نُقَيِّدْ لَهُ شَيْطَانًا فَهُوَ لَهُ قَرِينٌ. That whoever turns away from the remembrance of Ar-Rahman, notice Allah didn't say turn away from the remembrance of Allah. He said turns away from the remembrance of Ar-Rahman, the most merciful, as an incentive to remember Him, because He's merciful. Whoever turns away from the remembrance of the most merciful, we appoint for him a shaitan, and he becomes his closest companion. You see how not remembering Allah, not being in the remembrance of Allah, you attract demonic energy to you like blood attracts sharks. And that demonic energy can come in from so many different ways. It could be in the form of people. It could be in the form of drama. You're just a type of person that keeps drama around you all the time. Every time you come around, things happen. Negative things happen. You're toxic as a result of your ghafla, as a result of your heedlessness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Notice a person who always constantly remembers Allah. There's good energy around the person. He has the likable factor. She has the likable factor. People enjoy being in their space because there's something positive about the person, and perhaps it's as a result of their constant remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the scholars of the past, Abdullah bin Aun, he said, Dhikrullahi, dhikrun nas da'un wa dhikrullahi dawa. He said, remembering Allah, remembering people is a disease, while remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the cure. And Imam al-Dhahabi said, I wallahi, فالعجب منا من جهلنا كيف ندع الدواء ونقتحم الداء. Imam al-Dhahabi commented on this comment. He said, by Allah, I swear to God, how amazing are we as human beings that we will take the disease and leave the cure. Constantly backbiting people, remembering people in our conversations, and qalilun. And very few do we much, or very least, the very few times do we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there's constantly another person's name coming out of your mouth. This person, that person. That's a disease. And the cure is the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number two, how we lose Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is by selling your relationship with Allah for a share of this dunya. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made mention of a time that would come where a person would go to sleep a believer and wake up a disbeliever. يَبِيعُ دِينَهُ بِعَرَضٍ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا, will sell his religion for a share of this world. Sell your religion. Change your name from Muhammad to Mo. Change your name from this to that so people don't recognize you as a Muslim. Remove your hijab. Shave off your morals bit by bit until there's nothing left. The only thing that is left is the name of Muslim. But as far as the practical aspect of it, less shape, nothing. Selling our religion, selling our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a share of the dunya. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man kanat hijratuhu ila dunya yusibuha aw imra'atin yankihuha fa hijratuhu ila ma hajara ilayh." Whoever makes migration, whoever makes hijrah, migrates from one land to the next for some share of the world, or to take some woman's hand in marriage, then his hijrah is what he made hijrah for. It wasn't for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You sold that. Many of our brothers and sisters from overseas, they come to this country purely for dunya, for a better life, better living. And then in the process, you give up generations of Islam that has been in your family. You lose Islam, your children are Americans, they don't even speak your native language. You can't imagine how many immigrants who have come here and their own children don't even know their native language, know nothing about their history, nothing. Meanwhile, we're converts to Islam. We're like, oh, I don't speak Arabic for me, brother. He's like, I don't know much Quran. It's like, how? Then you come from this country or that country or this country, and by the third generation, there's no more Islam in your whole entire lineage. No more Islam. Gone. And we have to learn how to put our lead with your religion. That is top priority. Our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is top priority in our lives. And lastly, how we lose Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is by being in love with someone or something so deeply that we allow our love for that thing or that person to overshadow our love with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The scholars, they say, حُبُّ الشَّيْءِ يُعْمِي وَيُعْمَى وَيُصَمْ, that your love of a thing could blind you and make you deaf to its reality. Your love of a thing can make you worship it. The Prophet ﷺ said, Ta'isa abdul dinar, ta'isa abdul dirham. Humiliation for the worshipper of the dinar, the worshipper of the dirham, meaning the one who loves money. Your love of a thing could cause you to become a slave to it. Your love of someone could make you a slave to that person. We put Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. As Allah says in the Quran, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَتَّخِذُ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ أَندَادًا يُحِبُّونَهُمْ كَحُبِّ اللَّهِ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَّدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. That from amongst mankind are those who take for worship others besides Allah, gods besides Allah, loving them as they should love Allah. But those who believe love Allah more. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَّدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. But those who truly believe, they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more. Look at all of the people and the things that we love in our lives. If those things overshadow our love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then perhaps you have lost your love, you have lost Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the process. Brothers and sisters, this is as a reminder to myself first and foremost, and for you all. If you found Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have everything that you need. Some of us, unfortunately, we haven't learned how to allow Islam to work for us. We don't trust the process of Islam. So we're constantly working the system. Here again, tweaking Islam to make it work for us. It doesn't work like that. In other areas of our lives, maybe. But with Islam, you have to let Islam work for you. You can't work Islam. You're never going to be able to tweak it and get it to work for you the way that you want it to work for you. You have to learn how to adjust yourself to fit into the religion, to allow it to work for you. Many of us in this room right now are living proof that Islam can work for you if you allow the process to work on its own. But when we come in and we try to circumvent the halal and haram just to satisfy our desires because we can't tame it, we can't control it, so we allow it to control us to the point where we begin to, tweak the religion to work for us, you're traveling down a dangerous road. Allah completed this religion. And as Imam Malik said, that what was not a part of the religion on the day that that ayat was revealed will never be a part of our religion. The religion of Islam is complete, brothers and sisters. It is us who are imperfect, and we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to see the benefit in this religion and allow it, the process of this religion, to work for us. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابِ النَّارِ. Oh Allah, we ask you for the good of this life and the good of the hereafter, and to save us from the hellfire. اللهم إنا نسألك حبك وحب من يحبك وحب عمل يقربنا إلى حبك. Oh Allah, we ask you for your love and the love of those who love you and the love of deeds that will bring us closer to your love. يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على عبدك ورسولك محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وأقيم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. Go calm to salat, go calm to salat.